Hi everyone, welcome to MermaidTV. So today's video, we are going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is zodiac signs. So I'm going to start off with Pisces. So for Pisces is Mantis, because she is very in tune with her feelings, but she's also very empathetic and very intuitive. She can feel physically and emotionally, spiritually, mentally feel other people's feelings. And so if that is joy, she feels that joy, and if it's pain, she almost takes on the burden of that pain. And we see that time and time again. She's very nurturing and likes to take care of others, and that's something that Pisces tend to have. She's also not vain, and is very generous and giving, and she's not too concerned about the wealth and materialistic objects in life. She's also very romantic and playful, especially after she joins the Guardians, and we see that develop with Drax. Going off away from just the emotional, because people are always talking about Pisces and their emotional, how they can be really emotional, as with all water signs. Another quality of Pisces that is often not talked about, or is just watered down, no pun intended. They tend to be a little bit aloof, but they have their head in the clouds. They're very daydreamy, and we see that with Mantis. And another thing is that they are very socially awkward individuals and misunderstand social norms, and are not very good at reading sarcasm. And so in a lot of the films, you'll notice other characters and other heroes be sarcastic or serious, and they have a hard time understanding the sarcasm or sometimes the seriousness. So they have a hard time reading that. The next sign we're going to talk about is Cancer. So for Cancer, we have none other than Bruce Banner. He is emotional, and not in a bad way, not that it's a bad thing to be emotional, but I can't help but feel bad for him, because he's always there for those that he loves, which is a very Cancer-like characteristic. So going to just Infinity War, for example, Hulk has been MIA. He's been lost in space, left for dead somewhere, like I just kind of forgot about him. And he comes back down to Earth. Thanos is off, trying to collect the Infinity Stones. He knows the world is in danger, the universe is in danger, everything's at stake. And despite the fact that nobody has checked in on him, nobody has known he's alive, nope, everybody's so self-absorbed. And yet, the first thing that he does is try to reunite the group. It's like, if anyone has anything to be pissed about, it's him. And yet, he's willing to put all that aside because he just cares so deeply about his friends and put other people's needs before his own. And that's probably one of the most selfless acts that I don't think I even put that much thought into. They're also very hard on themselves, and we see this a lot in Infinity War, where he can't bring Hulk out and it frustrates him, and he seems to put so much blame onto himself that he feels like he can't help. He is very, very, very hard on himself in the fact that he cannot bring this whole other part of himself out, and he's trying so hard, and so he really takes that to heart. Every time you guys see Kermit in the clip, that means I'm going to have an endgame spoiler, so just skip ahead until you don't see this little green figure anymore if you haven't seen the movie. One more thing for Bruce. So when he finally gets a hold of the gauntlet with the Infinity Stones, he is especially hard on himself, because when he did the snap, he was so hard on himself because he tried to bring Natasha back and he couldn't, and he feels guilty and he feels somewhat responsible for it. There was nothing he could have done, and yet somehow he feels like he could have done something, or he should have done something, and he's just very hard on himself. And like, again, that just goes to show like how much emotion Cancers have, and not in a bad way. Like I said, it's just a matter of caring, and sometimes caring can be detrimental, and sometimes it's a good thing. Next, we're going to talk about Libra. We actually have two Libras we're going to talk about, but we're going to only talk about one right now, and that Libra would actually be Natasha. So Black Widow. So the reason Black Widow is a Libra is because she has a hard time choosing sides. So the thing with Libras is they can see all sides of a situation, of a problem, and they want to be really fair. So especially in Civil War, for example, we see her I don't want to say having a hard time choosing a side, but essentially she's caught between this whole, well, Tony's right and Steve Rogers is right. Like, they both make a good point, and it just becomes very hard for her to balance that. And at the end, you know, a choice is made and it's kind of made abruptly, and it pisses someone off, you know? Honestly, Libras don't make choices. When they have a hard time like that, it's not always like, oh, she didn't go with Steve Rogers because she felt Steve Rogers was right at the end of the day. That's just kind of the way things rolled out, and she just kind of went with it because it was already going in that direction. And so it was more kind of like go with the flow type of things, which tends to be a very air sign type of thing, kind of go with the flow. Another thing we see is that she's always trying to find balance in her life, and life is chaotic for her. She finds that when she is with Hawkeye. She finds that that is the yin to her yang, the balancing, and we see her kind of become unbalanced when he's not there with her. She is very diplomatic, and that is very, very true to Libra signs. When we do the whole fast forward 5 years later, we see Natasha taking on the role of leadership, of diplomacy. So she's very much taking on that role, and it's very stressful for her. She wants to make things fair. So when her and Hawkeye go to get the soul stone, in her eyes, she sees that the only fair thing is for her to essentially end her life and him to return the soul stone, because he has a family. I can completely see where she's coming from, and that's such a selfless act on her behalf. And I mean, Libras are not necessarily known for being selfish, though they can be very selfish, especially when it comes to relationships. They're not very good at relationships. Hence, Natasha has a hard time with relationships. She, probably a part of her, like, loves Hawkeye in a way, not in a sexual way, but loves him in a way, but that she knows it can't be. And she also has this connection with Bruce, and it just essentially she just has a lot going on. Bless her soul, we don't give her enough credit. So I'm excited for her movie to come out so we can get a better understanding of her. So the next sign that we actually have two of them again, but we're gonna talk about one, and that is Taurus. And for this one, we have Groot. If it's not obvious enough why I picked Taurus, Taurus is an earth sign, and Groot is a tree, life, form of life. You know what I mean. So there is the symbolism there, but that's not the only reason. He's very communicative with those that he chooses to open up with, so that's why he has a strong relationship with Rocket, and so that's why he trusts him and talks mostly to him, even though we don't see it that way from what Rocket, you know, reiterates to the rest of us. But they have an understanding, and that's because Groot feels very comfortable around him. And that's something of Taurus. They are very talkative and let you in on their life and secrets and funny things, and they can be sarcastic and rude to you if they are close and comfortable with you. So that's how you know that you've made it into a Taurus's life. And it takes a long time. You could literally be siblings with the Taurus, and it'll take a long time for them to open up to you. But when you get there, it's amazing. He is very stubborn, and he's unwilling to deviate from his comfortable and predictable self. So especially when we enter his teens, he's very stubborn and lazy. He wants to play his video game, and he's like, don't tell me what to do, really. Like, I want to lounge around and be lazy. Tauruses are very hardworking, but they can also be very lazy and a little too relaxed at times. However, they are super, super, super hardworking when they have a goal or a task. If they're given a task or a goal, they will follow through with it. They are very hardworking, and so we see that with Groot. For example, one of the scenes is when Thor is getting his hammer made. He doesn't have a handle for it. We see him come on in with his arm and make a handle out of himself, you know? There's so many reasons why Groot is a Taurus, and I can go on about each and every one of these signs, but to keep this video more concise, we're just gonna end it there because we got another Taurus we're gonna talk about later. Next, we have a Leo sign. Again, this is one of those we have two for. This one is for Black Panther, not just because of the cat symbolism that he is a Leo, but he is a Leo because he is very much a leader, and that is something that we see with Leos. They're leaders. They lead. They are those within their families or their social groups that other people want to see lead the way, take initiative. people always want to see them succeed, at least those in their communities, in their immediate circles. We see that when he's going to fight to be the new king of Wakanda, he very much steps up to that plate. He takes that challenge, and he's competitive, he's a winner. He just has this energy of like, I am a leader, I know what I'm doing, and he carries himself. He also has a lot of style. He's very stylish, and Leos are very, very stylish. He has this like confident, cocky energy, which is true to all fire signs. However, his is more of a diplomatic kind of leadership, like a business one. Next, we got a Virgo. And so for our Marvel Virgo, we've picked Jenna Marbles, our favorite green superhero.
Wait a second. My eyes are starting to dry terribly open.
Just kidding. So green superhero, Gamora. So Gamora is very true to a Virgo in a lot of ways. She is a perfectionist since day one. When we see that clip in Infinity War of her as a little girl, like, she don't take nothing from nobody. She very much stands up for herself, but she's very like perfectionist. You see her even there when Thanos entertains her with the balance that she wants to. And since that day moving forward, she makes it a goal to perfect her skills in fighting to become the best warrior in the universe. She's very much a people pleaser. She wants to please and make Thanos, who is her father in a sense, very proud of her. She's very critical of herself. If she fails at something, she takes it very hard on herself. So yeah, she's very much a perfectionist. She likes to feel useful. And so she always has something to do. She always wants to be part of the team. So when she's with Thanos, she will be taking any orders or taking initiative actually to get things done. And likewise, when she's with the Guardians, she does the very same thing. So she likes to be useful. She likes to be resourceful. She has trust issues. She has some very serious trust issues. So that's something Virgos, they have trust issues, and they complain a lot about things, whether that be small things or big things. They just like to complain a lot. They don't like to rely on others. They're very much self-sufficient, and we see that with Gamora. She can rely on herself. She doesn't really rely on others. She's self-sufficient. They tend to overthink a lot of things, and we see this a lot in Infinity War, where she knows where the Soul Stone is, and she does not tell Peter, she doesn't tell him why she's overthinking or why he needs to be the one to kill her when the time comes. And she's just like really over here just thinking about so many things going on in her head, and like you just constantly see her overthinking situations. She's also very private in terms she can come off as cold and reserved, and we see that with Peter trying to be warm or trying to warm up to her, have her be warm, and she has a hard time expressing those emotions. Doesn't mean she doesn't care. She very much cares. Like I said, she overthinks a lot. She cares a lot, and she cares deeply, but it's just not the way that Virgos are. They can come off a little bit like they have RBF because of it, and they're always analyzing the world around them. Next, we're going to talk about one of the more complex, if not the most complex zodiac sign, which is Gemini's. Rocket is very much a Gemini. He is very creative. He's very adaptable. He adapts to any situation. He is a fast talker and a fast thinker. He is always thinking of something. His mind, his brain, his mouth is going 100 miles per hour. It's like having ADHD but not having ADHD, because he thinks deeply of these things, but if not, he's like saying things out loud. He changes based on his moods and those around him. Like, he has so many moods. He is super moody. You just don't know what you're gonna get. He's irritable. He's also very witty, so he's very quick to comment on something, very impatient, and he thinks that they can do something better than another person, and they really don't like being told what to do. They're very confident in that sense. They're also super social creatures, and Rocket's super social. I mean, like, for example, when Thor comes in, he's like, I want to go with you. Let me come. That sounds cool. He just met the kid, and he just like, let's go. They are a little unpredictable in that sense too, so they're hard to trust, so we, don't know what he's gonna do next. So Geminis can be a little hard to trust. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Like, again, he's a good character. Another thing is that they like to see conflict and drama develop. They don't necessarily like to be in the middle of conflict or drama, though they don't mind. They like to see chaos, though. They love to instigate things and just see chaos develop, which we've seen in Guardians 2, and Infinity War. He's always stirring up the pot and trying to see trouble happen, and he like really loves being part of that, of seeing it develop. And when he can be part of it, when he knows it's not like a bad outcome, he wants to be part of it too. Like, it's just so funny when him and Bucky are over here shooting guns and he's like, I'm gonna steal that arm later though. So very interesting character, very interesting signs. So next we have our Aries sign, Star-Lord. There's no better character for an Aries than Star-Lord, and that is for many, many reasons. Star-Lord is very, very, very vain, very cocky and confident, and like we just see it in the opening of the Guardians. He's like dancing around and prancing around like he owns everything. He is the man. And he is the center of attention, the center of the universe. Like, things revolve around him. He's also very childish, and not necessarily in a bad way, but Aries, you know, being the first sign in the Zodiac, they are the baby, they represent the baby. You know, he gets really excited really easily for small things, like a kid in a candy store. Like when he makes the comment about Footloose, he's like, oh my gosh, is Footloose still the best movie ever? Something along those lines. I'll probably insert a clip.
Footloose, the movie?
Exactly like Footloose. Is it still the greatest movie in history?
It never was.
Don't encourage this, all right?
He's, you know, very playful, get into trouble, and he has some daddy issues, but we're not going to get into the daddy issues part of it. But again, that's a very childlike thing. He's aggressive and temperamental though. So as fun and outgoing as he can be, as annoying and obnoxious as he can be, as a lot of Aries are, he's very temperamental and aggressive. And in fact, I believe that among the fire signs, Aries is the one that is more temperamental in the sense of aggression. And so we see his aggression come out in Infinity War when they're literally about to get the gauntlet off of Thanos, and he gets so angry that he lets that anger like really, really get the best of him. And thus, you know, I'm not gonna talk about how upset Star-Lord makes me and why he literally is at fault for a lot of things, if not everything that happens in Endgame. So anyways, next we have Scorpio. So for Scorpio we have Loki, and Loki is one of my favorite he is one of my favorite characters. And I really very much wanted him to be my sign. And he is not my sign. And I accept that. He is literally the embodiment of a Scorpio. And it makes a lot of sense. I could literally make a whole video on Loki being a Scorpio. Like, there was actually so many reasons, like so many in-depth reasons and psychoanalyzation. So if that's something you guys want to see, let me know. I'll probably still end up making a video on him just to get it out into the open, because I really just found it fascinating how many things I found. But I don't want to make this video 10 whole minutes on talking about just Loki, so I'm just going to get to the point. He is very jealous and manipulative. If you know your Greek mythology and the mythology of Loki and him as a character in the comics and all, he is reborn all the time. And so Scorpio is associated with death and being reborn. And it's just interesting that the two coincide in that way. When Scorpios do not get their way, whether that be in love or relationships or family, they are sulkers. Sulk. Like, poor me. I deserve better. And they'll just get in this little like sulky mood and like, you know, like a tortured soul type of thing. And Loki, literally, he's perfected this. Whether that be for manipulation or just because they truly are just being really sulky and pouty. It's a very much a Scorpio characteristic. Scorpios can be very manipulative, especially when it comes to relationships and love. They want to have their way. If they're manipulative out of love, that's one thing, but then they can be manipulative out of revenge, and they can be very vengeful. They can hold grudges and be very spiteful, and you best believe if you did a Scorpio dirty, count your blessings, because they're coming after you. He's very manipulative. We see him fool people, get his way. He knows everybody's secrets. He knows. And Scorpios are very good at finding out people's secrets. They probably won't say the secret. Sometimes they will, though. They'll use it against you if they need to, but They know more than you think they know. And that's something of Loki. He always knows something. He always got that little smirk. He has these little secrets that he knows something you don't know. And we see that like with the Tesseract, for example. In Endgame, like, I know Loki's not dead. Like, we see him go off in that little Tesseract, very sneaky, always gets his way. Low-key, watch out. Scorpios are very much in tune with poetry and the arts in terms of music, plays, operas, and in that sense. And if you remember back to Thor Ragnarok, when he's impersonating Odin, he's over here like enjoying play about Loki himself, and it's just like, come on, dude, really? They can be a little vain. They're very much in tune with themselves and very sexual creatures, but that's Loki. Next, we have our next Libra, and that would be Thanos. He wants to bring balance into this world, and so he thinks that by getting the Infinity Stones, that he would be able to secure what he thinks is right and fair for the whole universe in a way that wouldn't be hurtful to people. So, you know, Thanos, I don't believe he comes from a place of evil. He means well when he does this. Mind you, it's not the right way, but he sees it as for the greater good. And that is very much a Libra thing, you know, that decision. He even says it's not something he wants to do, but he thinks it's something that needs to be done, and if nobody else is going to, he has to. And it's also a quality of a Libra. It's like, if no one else is going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I can go on about Thanos, but we'll just keep it there. There's many reasons he's a Libra. Next, we have our Capricorn. For our Capricorn, we have Doctor Strange. He is so hardworking. He puts aside other things in his life, family, love, relationships, and everything, because he wants to succeed in his career. He wants that financial stability, and he will work as hard as he needs to. Is very stubborn when it comes to work, as all earth signs are very, very stubborn. Capricorn is known for being stubborn when it comes towards their work ethic, and even when he loses the ability to use his hands for surgery, he's still like, I need it. And he'll go down this like dark depression and just is not going to take no for an answer. And the quality of Capricorns is that they are very pessimistic in nature. We see Doctor Strange become very pessimistic, very down on himself when he can't. He's so stubborn on his hands. And Capricorns have to grow from lessons that they learn in life, and usually they put themselves in those lessons. Like, they put themselves in these situations that they know is probably not going to end well, and yet the only way they're going to grow is by going through these hardships. So Capricorns have to go through hardships in order to grow beyond just work ethic. And so it's a harsh reality, but it is usually how it goes. And also, Capricorns are associated with a lot of joint pain. Ironically, we see, you know, Doctor Strange deal with his own joint pain. Capricorns have a hard time with self-love. And we see actually Doctor Strange go through that journey of finding self-love. And in the movie, he could have the girl, you know, he could have love in terms of romantic love, but instead the movie takes a turn where it is a lesson that he needs to learn in terms of the self-love, and he puts a lot of hard work into it. It's definitely a journey he takes, you know. They're very stoic people, so we see it all throughout the movies. He's very much kind of to the point, stoic, very witty, very smart, very hardworking. Next, we have Aquarius. And so for Aquarius, we actually have no one other than Spider-Man. Aquariuses can be a little quirky and a little odd in nature and unconventional. And I would say that Peter Parker is very much that. He's very quirky, you know, not in a bad way. They're not self-centered at all. They really are not into themselves or care too much how they look. They're not cocky individuals, and they're very much built for a life of service. They like to serve. They're very about saving the world and bettering the world, and we see that with him, especially with him and Tony Stark. Like, he's always there, like, at his service, like, what can I help you with? Like, it's just so helpful, always taking that extra step to help for the greater good. And just, he's okay with taking a back seat, you know, and he gets the things that he needs to get done. They're very much good humanitarians. They're very kind. They're very giving, are just good friends. They're good listeners. Like I said, they have very open minds, you know. They're not judgy. They're not one that sits there and judge others. He's very much up in the air, up in the clouds, No pun intended, because you know he's always floating around. He floats around a lot in Endgame especially. Taurus again, and that is my Thor. Thor is a Taurus. He is loyal. Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. He is very loyal. He is very grounded. He is actually kind of, he's the thunder god, you know. That's an earthly element, kind of. It comes from the sky, but it touches the earth. Thor is also very much kind of more laid back. Like, if we see him with Loki in his relationship, like, we all know Odin wants Thor to rule. Thor is kind of more like, he just kind of goes with the flow with it. Like, he will do it because he's being told he needs to, but he's okay with taking the back seat. He would take the back seat. In fact, we see him take the back seat a lot in Endgame when he gives away his crown to another person. And also, Tauruses can be very lazy, very laid back. They have a sweet tooth and love to indulge in the finer things in life. And we see that happen with Thor, indulging in the sweets and deliciousness of life. As a result, Mr. Thor, you know, loses some of his strength and muscle here and there and kind of just sinks in. And when a Taurus kind of sinks into a hole, being a little too relaxed and laziness, essentially, like, it takes a while for them to get out of that bubble. Again, they do enjoy the nicer things in life. And so we see Thor with, for example, he's very braggy about his hammer, and he's like, only the worthy can have it, only it was crafted for the gods, and blah 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 blah. We know you have very fine luxury hammers. Next sign is our other Leo, and so for this one we have no one other than Captain America, because he is a leader. He doesn't like other people to take the lead. He wants to always be in charge. So we see him have trouble, especially in Civil War, taking the back seat. Hence Civil War breaks out because it's his way or the highway. He's very self-centered, self-assured, very confident, and it can be in a very cocky way. I almost wanted to give him an Aries sign. However, he lacks that like childish or childlike aspect to him, and so he's very much more mature. So it takes into like that, again, refined business level type of way of carrying himself that really sets him apart and puts him in the Leo. He is the embodiment of a Leo, though. He does have a temper. He has a fuse. He gets mad easily, workaholic. He's very loyal, though, in terms of relationships and love. He's loyal. He's loyal to his group as well, although that disagreement breaks out, and again, his ego is hurt. And as a fire sign, especially as a Leo, he's not going to let that fly, even if it is a friend or somebody he cares about, because he is very prideful, which is a very huge characteristic of Leos. So finally, we have our last sign, which if you haven't noticed, we haven't talked about, Sagittarius. And I saved Sagittarius for last, not because it is my sign, and so I want to just take that bias out of here. I can talk about my sign and myself as Sagittarius in a different video, but that's not why I saved it for last. I saved it for last because Iron Man. Iron Man is my favorite character, so that is why I saved Iron Man for last. He's my favorite character. I have so much to say about him, and I'll probably make just a video on all the reasons why I love Iron Man so much. Iron Man is a Sagittarius, and at first I had a hard time kind of really thinking of what horoscope he could fall under, and then I kind of narrowed it down to he is a fire sign. The reason he is a Sagittarius and not the other two, a lot of it is his optimism and his philosophical nature and thirst for knowledge. And that is something that is very true to a Sagittarius. He is very optimistic in every single situation. He tries to find something to be grateful about, or something to be confident about or happy about. And it's in every single movie. He somehow seems to get out of trouble and seems to be very, very lucky, which Sagittarius are known to be very lucky, but it is that optimism. He is optimistic that something good is going to happen, or he will get out of it. He will think of a way. And he, in Endgame, even when at the beginning, he's about to lose everything and like run out of oxygen, that's the end. And he did not find a loophole. He's like disappointed. He just couldn't. He's telling Pepper Potts that he tried, he couldn't, and, you know, letting her know he's sorry. And yet somehow in his recordings is trying to be optimistic and trying to tell her to like see the good in this, you know, if she's still around, to like listen to these, and trying to be optimistic for her and to spread that optimism, you know, again and again. Optimism is something that's very true to Sagittarius. They'll try to see the good in everything. His philosophical nature and thirst for knowledge. He's always trying to learn things. He is a know-it-all. I know that other signs are very known for being very intelligent, like Capricorn, for example, and Geminis as well. But his is more so like he's just like thirsty for knowledge in a sense. Like he'll want to learn whatever it is. He'll learn things that he doesn't necessarily need to know. He just kind of learns as he goes, you know, in any situation, as opposed to just focusing and zeroing in on this one particular thing. And like, that's my whole life revolves around that. Like, he does not make his career and work the sole focus of his life. He knows how to have fun. And we see that in the early Iron Man movies, where he's very much a ladies' man. And again, that's a Sagittarius quality. Trouble committing. It kind of has a bunch of relationships, doesn't like to commit, playboy type of bachelor life style. Also big spender in money. Sagittariuses love to spend money. He's always spending it, even in Endgame. After that 5-year fast forward, when, like, you know, the life still isn't even rebuilt to what it used to be, somehow this man has managed to live a very luxurious life. We understand that he is Tony Stark, but come on, homie. He is a big spender, does not mind spending money and spoiling people. I'm trying really hard to not make this come off as biased, because I am a Sagittarius, but I promise you I am being as unbiased as I can. And this is coming from if you know any Sagittariuses, it's that we are honest. We are very, very honest people. Again, a quality Tony has. He's very honest and witty and sarcastic, and it can be a little hurtful sometimes to others, but he speaks his truth. We are able to acknowledge when we have made mistakes. Unlike Leos and Aries, they are not so much so like, yeah, we made a mistake and we take responsibility. Tony is that way. Captain America is not, and Star-Lord is not. They're not taking responsibility nor really apologizing for their mistakes, you know? And Tony does. He knows when he messes up. He's like, all right, I messed up. He acknowledges the fact that he did, especially in the first movie. He's like, oh no, I see what my weapons have done and created and participated in this world, and he tries to make amends with that. So just know that when I say that, or when I say that about any sign, I'm being honest, and as honest as I can in terms of my research, my facts, what I know about astrology, what I know about the characters and all. If you have anything else to add to it, I know there was some characters I didn't mention, which would be like Nebula, Drax, Hawkeye, Wanda, Vision. There's like a lot of characters I didn't talk about, and that's because this would be an hour-long video, and I can make a video on it if you want your insight, or if you disagree and have reasons why you think a character is a different zodiac sign. Go ahead and comment below and let me know what your thoughts are. For now, that's all I'm gonna say. This was my first zodiac video, and I really do hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to give me any critiques. Thank you so much for watching me. I would appreciate a like, I would appreciate a subscribe. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.